Why are French portions smaller yet somehow more satisfying? This video dives into the science of portion control and how cultural norms shape the way we eat. We'll explore the satisfaction paradox, the ritual of savoring, and how time becomes a secret ingredient that makes mindful eating feel natural. From the social architecture of meals and the quality over quantity philosophy to structured meal timing, fresh food connections, and the modern challenges that threaten these patterns, you'll see why less can be more when it comes to true fulfillment. 1. The science behind French portion control. When you think about French dining, what comes to mind first might be the exquisite pastries, the endless bread, or the legendary wine. But here's the surprising truth that turns everything upside down. French portion sizes are the smallest when compared to Brazil and the United States, both for personal and estimated country portion sizes. This groundbreaking research from 2024 involving over 1,300 university students reveals something remarkable about how the French approach food differently than the rest of the world. The numbers tell an incredible story. A carton of yogurt in Philadelphia was 82% larger than a Paris yogurt. A soft drink was 52% larger, a hot dog 63% larger, and a candy bar 41% larger. Yet somehow, the French aren't walking around feeling deprived or constantly hungry. Instead, they've mastered something that seems almost magical in our supersized world. 2. Cultural norms shape eating behaviors. The French have developed something extraordinary that researchers call cultural alignment in eating. French estimates of country portion sizes are much closer to their personal size, which could be related to stronger cultural norms around appropriate eating behavior in France. This isn't just about individual willpower or genetics, it's about an entire society that has collectively agreed on what constitutes a proper amount of food. Think of it like this. If everyone around you considers a massive burger normal, you'll likely eat massive burgers without thinking twice. But in France, there's a beautiful harmony between what people personally choose to eat and what society expects. There is greater social structure and more ritual in eating in France, and greater respect for French cuisine compared to America. The difference between French personal and country portion sizes is much smaller than for other countries, speaking to greater links between individual behaviors and cultural standards. 3. The satisfaction paradox. Here's where things get really fascinating. Americans report significantly lower levels of food enjoyment compared to the French, according to cross-cultural studies. How can eating less actually lead to more enjoyment? The answer lies in a fundamental shift in how food is perceived and consumed. How is it that French dieters are satisfied with less? The difference is in how they regard food and eating. The French love their food, but not the way Americans love food. In America, we confuse enjoyment of food with overconsumption. This confusion between pleasure and quantity has created a culture where more food somehow equals more satisfaction, but the French proved this equation completely wrong. 4. The ritual of savoring. French meals aren't just about consuming calories, they're elaborate rituals that transform eating into a meaningful experience. French mealtime rituals include lingering over each course, engaging in lively conversation, and appreciating the food's presentation and flavors. Each region of France might add its own flair to these rituals. This isn't just cultural tradition, it's psychology in action. Research shows that eating rituals play a greater role in how we perceive, enjoy, and savor food than we may have realized. Performing eating rituals prior to consuming a meal can even result in the food tasting better. When the French take time to appreciate their food, they're literally enhancing the flavor experience through mindful engagement. Participants who performed eating rituals described food as more valuable, flavorful, and worthy of savoring than participants who did not perform ritualized behavior prior to eating. A delay between an eating ritual and consumption significantly heightens one's perceived enjoyment of food. Every French meal becomes a ceremony that amplifies satisfaction. 5. Time is a secret ingredient. The French have discovered something that fast-paced cultures have forgotten. Time is perhaps the most important ingredient in any meal. Studies suggest that French diners typically spend more time eating, even at fast food restaurants, compared to their American counterparts. Even their fast food isn't actually fast by American standards. The French give time to their meals so they can fully experience the flavors, pleasures, and satisfactions of what they eat. When the meal is over, it's over. There is no need for mid-meal snacks because there isn't even the semblance of hunger until the next meal bell rings. This temporal approach to eating creates natural boundaries and prevents the endless grazing that characterizes many other food cultures. 6. Mindful eating becomes natural. What researchers now call mindful eating is simply how the French naturally approach food. One of the most important habits in France is what we call conscious eating. In French families, meals are always special moments when everyone gathers around the table to share a good meal. In France, they know how important it is to savor every mouthful, without distractions like TV or phones. This mindful approach has profound psychological effects. This break allows people to really taste and appreciate what they're eating and disconnect from work. This habit makes meals more enjoyable, and also helps avoid overeating, as they're more aware of how much they're consuming. The French have essentially built mindfulness into their daily eating routine without even trying. 7. Quality over quantity philosophy. People did not deprive themselves of the foods they loved, they just ate smaller portions of those foods. By eating smaller portions of the foods you love, you still can enjoy your favorites. This approach eliminates the deprivation mindset that leads to binge eating and food obsessions in other cultures. In France, quality is always preferred to quantity. Portions are often much larger elsewhere. At home, dishes are smaller, but they often add a starter, such as raw vegetables, to balance the meal. Rather than supersizing individual portions, the French create satisfaction through variety and multiple courses, each thoughtfully prepared and presented. 8. The social architecture of eating. French dining is fundamentally social, and this social element dramatically impacts satisfaction levels. An important element of the French diet is eating meals at the table as a family. In a recent study of 766 men and women in France, researchers found that nearly 2/3 reported eating together as a household on a daily basis. American families who eat dinner together tend to eat more vegetables and fruits, and less fried foods. Conversing with family or friends keeps your mouth busy talking instead of chewing, allowing you time to realize you're full. The social aspect of French meals creates natural pauses that allow satiety signals to register, preventing overeating through biological feedback rather than willpower alone. 9. Structured meal timing. The French approach to meal timing creates a framework that supports smaller portions while maintaining satisfaction. In France, they have well-defined meal times. Breakfast is between 7 and 8 a.m., lunch between 12 and 1 p.m., and dinner between 7 and 8:30 p.m. These times can be quite strict. This isn't rigidity for its own sake, it's strategic psychology. They rarely skip meals, and each one is important. The breakfast is often light but essential, lunch is the main meal, while dinner is lighter. This precise rhythm helps avoid snacking and overeating in general. By eating at predictable times, the body learns to expect food at specific intervals, making smaller portions feel more satisfying because hunger is anticipated and met consistently. 10. The fresh food connection. The French emphasis on fresh, seasonal ingredients creates a deeper connection to food that enhances satisfaction. The French are often renowned for their love of fresh, quality ingredients. They make a point of buying seasonal and local produce. By avoiding processed foods and choosing fresh, seasonal ingredients, they naturally eat a diet rich in nutrients and low in harmful substances. Fresh food is used as often as possible, including fresh vegetables and fresh fruit. When something is fresh, it just tastes so much better. Better tasting food naturally provides more satisfaction per bite, meaning smaller quantities can deliver greater pleasure and satiety than larger amounts of processed alternatives. 11. The psychology of satisfaction. The French have intuitively understood what psychologists are now proving. Satisfaction isn't about quantity consumed but about the quality of the eating experience. Results from fMRI studies show that mindfulness is associated with reduced amygdala activity and may reduce emotional arousal. Mindfulness possibly works by increasing inner physical cues to eat, hunger and satiety, and decreasing the emotional and external cues to eat. This neurological insight explains why French eating practices feel more satisfying. When you're truly present during eating, your brain processes satiety signals more effectively, leading to feeling full on less food. Mindfulness helps people recognize the difference between emotional and physical hunger and satiety and introduces a moment of choice between the urge and eating. The French cultural approach to eating naturally incorporates these psychological principles. 12. Modern challenges to traditional patterns. Even in France, traditional eating patterns face modern pressures, but understanding these changes reveals the value of the classic approach. Traditional French eating habits are undergoing a quiet revolution. The classic structure of a meal is no longer a given. The cheese course, once a proud fixture of French dining, is now enjoyed regularly by a declining portion of the population, with artisanal cheese sales showing recent declines. Fast food has firmly established itself within French society. The fast food market in France has grown substantially and is projected to continue expanding. McDonald's operates over 1,500 outlets nationwide. Yet even as France modernizes, the underlying cultural principles of portion control and meal appreciation remain influential, suggesting these practices have deep psychological and cultural value. French eating habits prove that satisfaction isn't about the size of your plate, it's about the richness of your experience. When meals become rituals, when quality trumps quantity, and when eating becomes a mindful, social act, smaller portions don't feel like deprivation. They feel like wisdom. Perhaps it's time we all learn to eat a little more like the French, savoring each bite instead of rushing to the next one. After all, isn't food too wonderful to wolf down without really tasting it?